All right, welcome everyone to our final episode of the Ranger Roundup for 2022. Again, big thank you to Regis ITS and Walker's Pub for helping us put on this event every month. Tonight we will be talking some hoops with the women and men's basketball joining us, starting with men's head basketball coach Brady Bergeson and the senior Swiss Army knife Aaron Bokel. So gentlemen, welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
All right, gentlemen, we'll start off with just your initial thoughts on how the season started. I know there was a lot of new faces, 8-man recruiting class coach. Just what has the process been like getting everyone assimilated to each other?
Well, I think the process is the right word. It's we're works in progress, and I think we figured out a lot of some of the pieces of the puzzle that we have, and I think really when it gets right down to it, kind of the story of our journey is consistency right now, and looking for and demanding the consistent level of play and so forth, so that we kind of know what we're getting night to night. We've had a number of guys have really good nights and even carry us at points, but we're really lacking enough consistency to really count on this early phase in the season to be as consistent a performing team as we want. And I think that's indicative of some of the results we've had. Every game we've had has come down to one or two possessions, and we've been able to finish some of those, and we haven't been able to finish others. And I think as the year goes on, you'll see our team just figure out how to get a little bit more and more of that consistent base behind them, and be able to get that experience that it takes to win in those final 1 and 2 possession games.
Some of those new faces, David Cementola, had a tremendous time at CSU Pueblo, Nebraska Kearney, now here. Jazz Singh, CJ Reed, we've all seen them play some meaningful roles in some big ball games. But who are some of those gentlemen and some of the other new faces to this team that are kind of collectively making the 2022-23 version of Regis men's basketball?
Yeah, no, we've got a lot of new faces. We've got a lot of freshmen that have come in now and seen a little bit of time, some more than others. But guys like Josh Perry, Chase Mayo, Voin Masilovich, and even Aaron Austin got in this past week and did a nice job for us. So we've got a really strong freshman class that bodes well for the future, and they're providing some of the depth as we. As we get into these bigger minutes into games, and these guys, we're going to continue to count on them at some level over the course of the season. And, freshman graph lines are typically, of course, a little bit more up and down than veteran graph lines. And we know that going in, and that's part of what you get when you have a young core like that. But what we're really counting on is some of the guys that you had mentioned, to carry more of the load, and then of course our returners, Aaron Bokel being one of them, that have got a little bit of experience behind them, and to continue to lead us in that journey towards the level of performance that we think we can sustain over the course of time. And those freshmen they'll follow along as we go. We've gotten really good minutes from everybody you listed and more. Guys like Braden Carter has had some really good games in his second year. Aiden Sevilla, who played real limited minutes as a freshman a year ago, has really made a huge jump for us this year and is playing a bigger role and has had a more significant impact. So we're getting a lot from a lot of other guys. It's just coming in a little bit more of a sporadic package than we'd prefer to have in terms of the consistency piece.
You mentioned the gentleman to your right. What kind of role has Aaron had, on and off the court as a leader for this team so far, with so many new people brought into the program this year?
It's been a big role for him, and we had a conversation this summer leading up into it, and nobody had to tell him. He was ready, and he was expecting to have sort of that leadership role within our group. He's the only guy in our group that's been here for 4 years. So, he is the vet that guys look to for, hey, where's the cafeteria? And, where do I go to talk to a financial aid or something along those lines? But more than that, he's been really an anchor for the team. Guys lean on him heavily. and he's taken that on, I think, head on, and he's done a terrific job. He's been much more vocal and, just in practices, getting huddles, being much more of a vocal leader. And then his play has really followed suit too. He's been one of our better performers so far. No surprise. We try to put him in positions where he can, you call them a Swiss Army knife. I usually call him the utility man. And he's just got a knack to, he's got an ability to kind of just fill holes wherever they're needed in real time. And, team's struggling to rebound, he rebounds the heck out of it. We need more playmaking. He's zipping it around. We need a guy that can make a shot. There's Aaron Bokel. And he seems to have a knack to do that. And he always has. And now it's just taking kind of another level as a senior. He's looking like an old vet out there as he plays. And I think other guys really trust him on and off the floor. And his role has been really fun to watch him just mature into that role.
For you, Aaron, living that role, having to progress during your career to this leadership moment, what has that been like? I mean, did you feel yourself naturally doing it? Did you have to remind yourself, like, I need to lead by example now, I need to be more vocal? What was that process like, elevating to a leadership role this year?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of a process, I would say, just because I've been around guys for 4 years now, like Coach said, and we've always had great leaders on this team, coaches included in that. So I've been trying to fill in those shoes that, like, Brian Dawson left, and even older guys that graduated before last year. But other than that, I would say I have had to remind myself sometimes that that I am an older guy, a vet that our team looks at, and that guys look up to me. So it's been challenging, but I've definitely embraced it, and I'm just trying to help our team win basketball games.
Yeah. Coach touched on a lot of the little things that you do well. You're a guy that really excels at doing a little bit of everything well.
Mm-hmm.
Currently 12th in the country and leading the RMAC in rebounding, averaging about 10 points a game, had a game winner against Westminster just about a week ago. How do you think that you've developed as a player over your 4 years here?
Yeah, so I figured out kind of what works in this league and what doesn't. My body definitely has developed, I would say. I came in here kind of a skinny, scrawny 6'4" wing, and now I'm a forward and not scrawny anymore, so that helps. But yeah, a lot of my game is mental, like figuring out what the defense is doing and then me countering that, because I'm not the most athletic out there. I'm not the best shooter, all this and all that, so I kind of have to pick the defense apart in ways that I know work to my best ability and try to just outsmart them in a sense.
And Coach, same question to you. You've seen him since he was a freshman, and I mean, he's been a contributor all 4 years, but how has he as a player changed from this was freshman Aaron Bokel and what he could do for us versus this is a senior Aaron Bokel and what he can do for us?
It's funny, I was laughing with one of the coaches in our league the other day pregame because we were talking about him and a couple other kids in the same class, the same senior class in high school, recruiting class, and we were laughing about, kind of what these kids have become. They have developed into something we didn't necessarily see. We recruited Aaron Bokel to be he was a shooting guard in high school, and now he had a crafty way of playing, and I think one thing that attracted to us was the fact that he could help you win in so many different ways. But he has grown. He's developed both in the weight room and the cafeteria. Just kidding. No, he's in great shape, but he's gained a lot of good weight. He's strong. He's powerful, and he's kind of become this. And he's maintained his guard skills and developed them at that. And so he's a guy you can play in so many different ways. And for that reason, it's just a lot of fun to try to use him sort of as that. You can put him in a lot of different scenarios. And the biggest thing with him, and I think something that's really, you talk about development, the piece that's really developed the most is he's making people better around him. And now with the leadership piece on top of it, he's making people better around him even in that way.
Yeah, I mean, good segue to player development. Speaking of that, Regis men's basketball received some good news recently about Brian Dawson, a graduate from last year, that signing a pro contract in the Georgian Superliga. Coach, what did that announcement mean to you after coaching Brian for 5 years?
I was so happy for Brian. He's didn't surprise me at all. It surprised me a little bit how long it took. He had dozens of teams kind of flirting with him all throughout the summer, and we thought he was going to get signed, back in September or August. But it took a little longer than he thought. But I think he's happy over there right now. He's working his tail off. Brian's, he was with us for 5 years, and he was an impact player for 5 years. And I would say, for the last 2.5 years, Brian found his way. He kind of grew into himself, and when I say that, I mean he became a pro as a college student. You don't see that very often. The college life is a great life, and it's full socially, it's full academically. There's so many different ways to be just stimulated and grow as a human being. Brian found his way to simplicity, a bit of a stoic journey. Started, saying no to things and a lot of distractions, and really started zeroing in on his ability just to work, get his extra work in, watch film, take care of his body, sit in the ice bath, hit an extra weight session, eat right, changed his diet, and he just found enjoyment out of it. And that's when I realized, wow, he's got a chance. And it's hard. That's a hard life over there, because you don't help him win within a few games. There's a pretty good likelihood they just send you on the next plane out of town. But he'll find his way, and I'm a big believer in Brian Dawson. He's made us very proud, and I think he's got a chance to play for a long time.
I think you answered a little bit with the work and progression you saw from Brian there, but was there a specific moment, maybe a game, a practice, you saw Brian play and you're like, he's going to be a pro someday?
There's a lot of little signs along the way. I mean, I'll tell you, it was the third or fourth game his freshman year, and I think he had 17 off the bench in an overtime win at home, and he hit the game winner. And I realized, wow, this kid's got some gall. He's got some guts. And the moment was never too big for Brian. He had big plays in the RMAC championship game as a sophomore, where he came in and made some huge plays in crunch time. So I think his mentality was always there. And I think when his maturity met that ability and everything kind of came together is when I just, there was no doubt about it. He was going to get an opportunity. He was going to make the most of it.
And for you, Aaron, as a former teammate of Brian's, what does it mean from a player standpoint when you see one of your own, one of your teammates, someone from this program go on and sign a professional contract? What does that mean in the locker room and for Regis basketball players?
Yeah, so for me, it was super special for me just because Brian kind of took me under his wing when I was a freshman coming in. I mean, he's in the locker room. I was right next to him for 3 years, so he became one of my best friends, not only on the court but off the court too. And he's just such a great teammate, such a humble guy. You guys got to see what he did on the court, but off the court, he was always in the gym, always shooting, always getting extra reps, like Coach said. Every time I came to check in or I would go shoot, he would always be there too. So it was really awesome to see, and it gives us as a team just a lot of faith and hope that we can do similar things that Brian's doing if we put in the work like he did. So it was really cool for me to see. He's such a good guy.
Well, thanks, gentlemen. Flipping back to this season, Coach, what are some areas that you and the team are really wanting to focus and hone in on over break as we prepare for the second half of the season?
Yeah, and I think I really think that I'll go back to the consistency piece. We're on this mantra right now of kind of being the same guy every day, and coming in ready to compete each and every day. So we're really looking for a mentality right now. I think the guys are getting that message day in and day out right now on the court. And if we're going to maximize what we have by the end of this season, it's going to be because this team figures out how to get itself where it needs to be mentally, physically, emotionally, each game, but also not just each game, daily, day in and day out in practice. this team's not afraid of extra work. They're not afraid to be pushed. They're not afraid to be worked hard and held accountable. And so I think we've got a real shot to put this all together. But again, the goal for any coach, and I think for any team, is just to simply, how close to maxing out with this group can you get? And I think that's going to be the key to our success, is can we get our guys mentally, physically, and emotionally to figure out how to get themselves there day in and day out, so that our graph line stays higher and a more consistent rate.
And I know it was last year's team, but I mean, you guys entered the RMAC tournament as the 6th seed, make it all the way to the RMAC championship game, where you gave Black Hills all that they could handle, and they were an NCAA Final Four team. What do you think the potential is for this year's team if you are playing your best basketball in February and March? And that's questions for both of you.
You want to take it first?
Yeah, I'll start. So what we have to understand is it's a marathon at the end of the day, not a sprint. I know last year we started off really hot. We won like 15 in a row. We started off extremely high, and then we ended the RMAC. I think the last 10 games we were 3-7. So if we just understand that it's a long season, a marathon, and we know we got to be playing our best basketball, like you said, in February and leading into March. I think if we just keep our heads level and just keep working every day, then we'll be a really successful team, because we do work hard. We have what it takes. We just got to put it all together. And I think that does take a little extra time, because, like you said, we have 8 new guys, so we're figuring things out, and we just got to compete, and we're starting to figure that out. So
it's a new core of guys. Any way you slice it, we have 5 new starters this year, and a lot of guys that are even returning at that. A number of them played some real limited roles last year. So we're putting a lot together all at once. We expect ourselves to be really good, and there's been some frustration on the results. Again, we've been in 1 and 2 possession games every single game. I'm a big believer in this group. I'm a big believer in these kids, and I think that we have the opportunity to put this thing together and be as good as anybody. I think, we've seen some signs already where, we've been in some real tight games down the backstretch, in this front, in the front of the season here. And we've had guys come through in huge moments, in big plays, make big plays in big moments right now. And so already we're getting that experience. You can't get experience until you've had experience. You just have to go through these battles. There's no other way to get it. And so, but every game you go through, you gain a little bit more, and you gain a little bit more, you learn a little something. And then pretty soon you look back and you're the team that's got those guys that have been through all those battles, and you got the battle scars to show it. And those are the teams that I think tend to have that sort of savvy presence of mind in late in game situations where you can carry it through in a playoff game and that sort of thing. So obviously it's a huge long road. The marathon's exactly right. We've got a lot of getting better to do. We've got a lot of basketball to play before we can even talk about that. But I'm a big believer in this team, and I think, I think we're going to put it together, and I think we're going to be scary at the end.
Well, I think everyone in this room is excited to watch what Regis men's basketball looks like when we come back in 2023. But before I let you go, we do have a holiday season rapid fire round. So both of you guys will play along with this one. First question, just, favorite Christmas present of all time that you've ever received?
Mine's got to be, me and my brother love this one. We came downstairs, there was a huge box right in our living room, and it was a basketball hoop. And ever since then, we just play basketball outside in the front yard for hours. So
I think Brady's very happy that you received that gift too.
Yeah, it worked out well. Yeah,
That's my favorite gift you've ever had. I'll go with the first one that popped into my mind, 1991, Orlando Magic starter jacket. If you're in your 40s, you know what I'm talking about, baby. It was awesome.
I mean, to each their own, I guess, Coach. And then just a word of advice, Bulk, as you get older, like, you don't like socks right now, but when you get in your 30s, getting socks is nice. Like, I'm looking forward to some socks here in a couple of weeks.
Do some socks. Yeah.
Favorite holiday movie?
It's really not a question. It's Elf. That should be everybody's answer. It's Elf.
I would have said National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, but I got to tell you, I think Elf is taking the cake. I got to agree with you. I think I'd
Or
go
Clark,
Elf.
Clark Griswold's Family Vacation is really good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's hard to. I'm a Grinch. How the Grinch Stole Christmas guy. That
That's a good
usually
one,
comes
too.
on the day after Thanksgiving in my household. So
Let's go.
good answers, gentlemen. Favorite holiday family tradition? What's something special that your family does?
We go out to pizza on Christmas night.
Is there a special location?
Who's our sponsor, Bill?
Wonderful answer.
That
Brooklyn's.
one. We go
All
to
right.
Brooklyn's.
What about you, Aaron?
We just, I don't know, we just spend time with the family, make a butter braid, have some egg casserole, and watch the NBA games, open presents. It's just a good time with the family.
I think they finally put the MVP on Christmas Day this year. And
Deservedly
Nicole
so.
Jokic was going to play a
Yeah.
Christmas game.
About
Good.
time.
Yeah. And then last question for you, gentlemen. New Year's resolution. Is there an official that you've offended in the past that you want to apologize to? Anything?
I don't want to apologize to anyone, but I resolve not to get a technical in 2023. At least the first half, 2023.
I'm probably right there with him.
No teas?
No teas. Also need to start drinking more water. That's always my New Year's resolution, drink more water. So, yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, gentlemen, again, thank you very much for joining us on the Ranger Roundup. We wish you the best of luck the rest of the way. I'm pretty sure we'll talk to you again in the new year. And look forward to watching some more Regis Rangers basketball. When we come back on the Ranger Roundup, we will be talking to women's head basketball coach Molly Marin and junior guard Aaron Fry. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Welcome back to the Ranger Roundup. Joining me now is junior guard Aaron Fry and head women's basketball coach Molly Marin. Ladies, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Coach, just jumping right into it, if you could give us a little insight to how the season has gone so far through the preseason and our first couple weeks of RMAC action.
Sitting at 5-5, I think there's some highlights there, and I think we're a little disappointment. So I think it's a mix of both, and what we kind of know we can achieve, and with that. But I think we've weathered that pretty well as a group. If you look at Brady talked about close games. I think we're maybe 7 points away from 3 or 4 more wins. So anytime you're in that tightly contested games, literally night after night after night, that's something where you lose that one. It's different than losing by 12 or 14. So I think with that's tells us where we are, especially pushing a Black Hills who's 8-1 to overtime, have an opportunity to win that, the level that we can play at. Beating a D1 in the early scrimmage this season. So I think we know where we can be. I think we know we're not there yet. So it's I would say a mix of both.
We won't mention that D1. We'll save their Christmas.
We won't.
We'll save
We
their
won't.
Christmas by not naming them. But I know that we discussed this during the preseason. You have 11 returners on this year's team. That's a lot of experience to bring back to a basketball roster. Do you feel that you're a little bit further ahead because of that at this point in the year? And what has that experience meant to the team so far?
I would say yes. It's definitely an advantage. I think certainly in that any coach that has 11 returners is going to be happy. Especially in this climate. So I think knowing what we learned about each other last year, and having especially the amount of upperclassmen that we have. So I think that's been a huge advantage, and I know Aaron will talk about that component. From a coaching standpoint, the culture piece of it, having captains step up, Aaron's a captain, say, this is not how we do things, or this is how we do things. That's really invaluable, I think, for the off the court things, which we haven't really had a lot of issues, but I think it's just, that's been a relief and nice to see, I think, as a coach, to not have to explain rules and everything and how we do things. So, but yeah, I also think with that, our expectations were very high and still are high. So I think kind of a mix in that and saying, this is what we think we can be, what we know we can be, and this is where we are. So what do we do from here to get to where we want to go?
Aaron, for you, playing the point guard position, what does that mean to a team, the dynamic, you guys knowing how to play off of each other, having that many teammates back that, I'm trying to think of some returners that we've involved in the mix, but really it's a lot of girls that you've now played with and have multiple games and experiences with. What does that do for you as a point guard out there on the floor?
I say it does. It makes my, I guess, life, my game just a lot easier overall, just having to go through and experience highs and lows with all 10 returners. We all know what we want, and we've all been through what we don't want, so it's like we have expectations of what we want to do and what we want to achieve, and I feel like being on the same page with my other 10 teammates and the 3 freshmen, bringing them in and showing them the ropes and how we do things and where we want to be at. I feel like it's just making things easier along the way.
Yeah, Erin really demonstrated the grasp that she has on your offense back on November 15th, became the first player, at least to the available stats that I've been able to find, to record a triple-double in a 73-63 win over Texas Permian Basin. Erin, while you were playing, was there a moment, was there a quarter where you're like, man, I'm feeling it tonight. This is my night. Did you feel it, sense it?
No, I didn't, not at all. I mean, I know a big thing going into the game was like I got to box out my girl for like the rebounding component. So I was like, I am, jumping up and grabbing a lot more rebounds than usual. But everything else, I had no sense. I had no idea until after the game.
But I'm sure that, as you get older in your careers, that the accomplishment will grow in its meaning. But what does it mean to you right now that at least, from what we've seen, we have not been able to find another documented triple-double in Regis women's basketball history? No,
that's one of my goals coming to Regis. I wanted to have my name in a record book, have my name down in history, and I'm just happy I was able to make it.
I mean, for you, Coach, you played here, you've coached here. Where did that performance rank in individual performances that you've witnessed?
I think it's important. Obviously, this is a basketball show, but this is point guard that did that. That's insane. I mean, that's just it's unreal. I think even looking NBA, WNBA point guards that have done that. So yeah, and I think speaking to her selflessness, she's one where we talk a lot about playing. Staying focused and locked in when you're on that court, and she epitomizes that. She doesn't know. She's just looking. She's constantly scanning. Her court awareness is unreal. She's got eyes in the back of her head, probably on the side too. So she just, just her ability to stay locked in, and that's what makes her great. She'll continue to be great because of that, because her focus ability on the right things is incredible. So.
Well, I can tell you as a statistician, I'm glad that you had 14 rebounds and 12 assists, because when it's at 10, you're like, maybe I don't want anyone to accuse me that I fudged it to give her an extra rebound or assist. You truly earned that triple-double. So. Changing gears a little bit, 2022 has been a really special year for Regis women's basketball. Your former head coach Linda Ronig, Meshach Rhodes, one of your teammates, and then your 2002-2003 team were inducted into the Regis Hall of Fame this past September. What was that weekend like for you, having so many influential and people that you experienced your time as a student athlete at Regis back that weekend?
I would say, one of the highlights of it was we did a meet and greet with our current team and the alums, and for me that was kind of special to sit back. Once we got it organized, it was a little stressful, on the organizational front end, but well worth it. Just to sit back and watch my former teammates 20 years ago, won't age myself too much, be able to interact with them and them trying to get some scoop out from me and, hey, what was that about? So maybe let a little bit too loose on that on some of my teammates. But anyway, that was really cool to see what the impact their Regis impact has had. And now, 20 years later, they speak so fondly of it and they're right to it. They remember things coaches said. Everything that made this so special it just reminds me of why I do what I do and the opportunity to be here and especially at Regis, at my alma mater, and to be able to hopefully make a positive impact on their lives, I think was probably the coolest connection point of the weekend. Obviously Ronig, all-time win leader in the RMAC, unbelievable, 26 years here, and Meshach Rhodes, as a teammate I played with for 2 years. I played for her too. I did whatever she told me. So, but yeah, just to see her, and again, assist category, I think she is the all-time assist leader at Regis still. So, was really special and very well deserved.
And we've seen, I've seen Meshach and Coach Ronig in the stands at a couple of our regular season games and interacting with the team. Erin, for you, what has that relationship meant? What are some of the interactions you've had with those Hall of Fame members and their actions with the team this year?
It's all been great. It's fun listening to them tell their stories and tell their sides of like their experiences here. And I know like a big piece that would always stick to me is that one had said, well, just to be present because the ball will stop bouncing. So like value the relationships that you build with your coaches and your teammates, and value those bus rides and like off the court experiences, because those is what you will cherish throughout life. So.
They dish a little dirt on Coach here too?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Don't worry, Coach, we won't air that here.
Thank you.
But, going back to this season, as we near holiday break, what are some areas that you and the team are really trying to focus on and hone in on before we, come back in January?
I'm going to let you start with that one. As captain.
I say defense specifically, just honing in and focusing on our defensive aspects of the game, because everybody can score. We know we can put the ball in the hoop, but it's just to be able to stop other teams from scoring and just to be able to trust each other, that we have each other's backs. Just growing in that part is, I feel like if we get that together, we'll be continuing on the right track.
What about, I'm sure you loved hearing defense the first word,
I
right,
did.
Coach?
Yes, that's clearly the point that we need to focus on the most. I think we've changed some things in practice where you have to get, a turkey, which we call 3 stops in a row. So we kind of chart those. So almost to finish every drill, even if you outscore somebody, you have to get that. So we've implemented some things I think that have worked, and mixing up our defense a little bit this past weekend, I think showed some success there too. So I think the biggest thing that I want to see from this group, as with 11 returners, with the amount of upperclassmen that we have, to have the confidence in that and lean into that more. I think we think it's there, and we have high expectations with it, but we have to believe it a little bit more. So I've seen that grow a lot in them, and so really it's been a lot less focus on opponents and more on us. And so I think Christmas break and that break time to get double practices or some of those things, some more team building, will give us an opportunity to focus more on us, because if we keep leaning into that, I think we're going to be really hard to stop.
Kind of goes into my next question to both of you of, we talked at the very beginning of the year that the RMAC seems pretty wide open this year. There was some turnover, and really anyone can beat anyone on any given night right now. What do you think the key is, other than staying healthy, for this team to make a run? As we talked with Brady, of playing your best basketball in February going into March.
I think, as Coach said, just focusing on ourselves, getting better each day, whether that's in the weight room or just like on the court. We have plenty of things to work on, and it's just like little battles every day. If we can just go in with a mindset and an attitude and have little goals that we can achieve, then I feel like going into February and March, we'll be the team that we need to be.
Building on that, I listen to her a lot. So just the mini games, finding successes, celebrate the singles, whether that's a pass, defensively making somebody make an extra pass. So I'm just trying to help them become more aware of those successes that are out there, because I think when you can do that, then we naturally, all of us focus on the negative or focus on a mistake, or we hang in that space. So it's, how do we get out of that? Well, there's a success right around the corner. Let's find it, and pointing out some of those to them that maybe they didn't see. And so I think some light bulbs are starting to go off on that a little bit more on the court, which is cool. And just it's making us play lighter and have more fun in that. But I mean, this is year 8 for me, and we have, no matter how we started, how we finished, we have found a way to try to play our best basketball late. Now this group has to do it, and we have to keep building on those points. But I think you'll see in our program that we're developing players. They're working. They're putting the extra time in the gym. Of any team that I've coached, this as a group as a whole has put the most extra time in. So it's just staying committed to that. Brady said it. There's no secret, sauce to it. You got to stay committed, win, loss, if you're having a good day, a bad day. And I think that the teams that do that, right, there's a point kind of in January where you're either going to go here or here. And so that's just our commitment to trusting the process to get to that point.
Wow. Personally, I look forward to trying to spot those little victories and noticing those, and maybe I need to start statting turkeys.
Watch our
as well.
bench.
Watch
our
the
bench.
All right.
Yeah, watch our bench and watch anybody else's bench. But I'm taking our bench.
Well, You guys get the opportunity, you get the luxury of doing the rapid fire the second time. You already have a little bit of prep on what those questions are, but we will go into that. Our holiday themed rapid fire. Aaron, favorite Christmas present of all time?
My favorite Christmas present, I would have to say, I guess my first bike, honestly. My first bike is my favorite Christmas present. Because it was just like a first. Like I got clothes, like jewelry, like perfume, but just to have like that big gift. And I was always around basketball when I was younger, so like any basketball thing was just like, oh, great. But my first bike, that was special to me.
Didn't even need training wheels, right? You were that talented?
Oh, I was going.
Okay.
She has a hoverboard now, so there you go. Which is not recommended by me, but she still has it.
What about you, Coach?
I gotta say, the Nintendo, we got a family gift every year from our grandparents, one of 6 kids, so we didn't have a ton. So our family gift was a Nintendo, it came with the power pad, and I mean, we ripped that thing apart, so it was probably the coolest gift.
What are you a master in? Is it Mario? Is it Mario Kart? Duck Hunter? What does no one want to play Molly Marin in?
Well, now it's more PS4 stuff, so it'd more be like Borderlands, but or Trivial Pursuit, so. But
Noted. I will not challenge you to those then. All right. Favorite holiday movie?
Mine would have to be This Christmas.
Huh?
This Christmas?
I've not seen it.
You sure, it's very good. Just like a romantic comedy, like a family that
would
got
be
together.
why I didn't
Yeah.
see it. Yeah. What about you, Coach?
it's tough because Elf's taken. I just think anything with Will Ferrell in it or anything that kids can watch, but it's still funny enough for adults. So borderline humor on that. So
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's also agree with you there.
Is that still airing on any network?
I'm pretty. Yeah, Bruce Willis is ageless. Yeah, they'll play that every year until we're all gone. Favorite
So is
holiday?
Rocky apparently with the new Tulsa King movie.
Rocky's a Christmas movie?
No, the whatever his name is. Oh, Sylvester Stallone apparently
yes,
is ageless
yes.
also because he's still on TV.
Very true. Favorite family holiday tradition? What's the favorite thing that's unique to your family that you guys do?
Just being able to get everyone in the same house together and enjoy like a sit-down meal and then watch basketball games the rest of the night. That's ours.
Nice and relaxed?
Yeah, just
Which
relax.
With the busy
Except
schedule.
like if it's like a rival game or something, then we get a little bit hyped, maybe too much.
Who do you root for? Texas native, who do you root for?
I mean, I don't want to say like for football-wise, I don't claim myself as a Dallas fan, but I like the Mavericks, of course.
Hard to hit on Luka.
Yeah,
is
it's
hard.
very hard.
It
And
is.
I'm a Cowboys fan, and I don't like to claim being a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, you can't say that out loud.
Yeah. What about you, Coach? Favorite family holiday tradition?
Definitely White Elephant. So watching the maximum number of trades be reached and see adult children about to pummel each other and almost cry. So that's kind of fun. So
Using
the
that-
older we get, the more fun it gets.
Using that last steal just to ruin
Yes,
someone's Christmas?
100%. Yeah, even if it's like a men's shaver. I have 4 brothers, so then I'm like, all right,
Well, this
I'll
might
make them mad.
that might tie into my last question of New Year's resolution. Do you have a brother to apologize to?
I think they should apologize to me. That's mostly how brothers to sisters. It's not a lot of sisters to brothers. I'm just gonna say that, but yeah.
Well, then New Year's resolution for 2023.
I have not. I am on tomorrow's Thursday, so I've not thought about New Year's resolution. Do you have?
I haven't started my list yet. That's last week of December problem.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. I would say, generally speaking, instead of doing like resolutions, I've been doing like a word. So my word for my 40s, at least for the decade, is connection. So I would say just building on that. Relationships with family, our players, anybody, those important relationships, so staying connected.
I like it. I like staying connected. I think it's good
Not
advice.
a juice cleanse.
Good advice. No juice cleanse. No keto.
No,
I need to start keto.
No
Maybe
juice
that'll be mine.
cleanses.
But ladies, thank you again for joining us. We look forward to watching the rest of your basketball season, and for sure that we will talk to you again in 2023 as we do another recap on basketball as we get closer and closer to the RMAC tournament. But that'll do it for our show. Again, a big thank you to our coaches Molly Marin and Brady Bergeson, and our student athletes Aaron Bokel and Aaron Fry. We also want to thank the Regis ITS and Walker's Pub for helping us put on the show every month. Enjoy the holidays, and we will see you back on the next Ranger Roundup in January of 2023.
Go Rangers!
Thank you. Oh, wow.